Alright, so here's the pan of my room. Nobody in here. Put this up here. I have 5 note cards, front to back. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's that. Last 2, 4, and then 5. Okay. There are many things that 2020 has brought to light that would have otherwise stayed hidden in the dark for far too long. One of these things being that younger Americans, catering more to the Generation Z voter, have picked up on the idea that America will be better as a socialist nation. Many will argue for, and many will argue against, the tyrannical rule that it is. 52% of Americans like the current state of capitalism, while only 18% do not like it. On the contrary, 19% of Americans like socialism, while 53% oppose it. That information was found from the CNBC newspaper written by Jacob Pramuk from NBC Wall Street Journal polls in February of 2020. President Trump's current stance on socialism beats true to the heart of patriots who actively care for economic prosperity. He has made it very clear that America will never be a socialist nation under his administration. Time is the only essential factor standing in front of the socialist regime. The great Ronald Reagan once said, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction." His words have never felt more pressing in times like these. We, as Americans living in the greatest country on earth, have taken for granted our wonderful system. We need to pave the way for other nations, as an example, the U.S. at the forefront, to ensure and prove that the socialist agenda has never and will never work anywhere, especially in the land of the free that we love so much. Today I'm going to walk you through the fundamentals of a socialist economy and explain the negative impacts it has had on other countries, and elaborate on a capitalist market, describing why America is the most desirable destination in the Western world. First, I'll break down what happened to Venezuela, describing the insane masses that they have stooped to. Venezuela was one of the richest countries in the world due to their oil exports. Now, what once was one of the greatest, richest nations in the world, is crime-infested and one of the poorest nations in the Americas. Charles Biggs, from earlier this year at TulsaBeacon.com, went into detail about Venezuela's tragic history. It all started when Hugo Chavez founded the United Socialist Party of Venezuela in 2007. It was an attempt to install democracy, economic independence, equal revenue, and the end of political corruption. This socialist installment created low oil prices that shut companies down, leading to a shortage of necessities. $13 billion was lost in revenue, and the country was in turmoil. Oil production halted drastically, going from $100 a barrel to $40 a barrel, and 3 million barrels a day to 1 million barrels. Chavez was succeeded by President Maduro, who in 2013 devalued Venezuelan currency. This led to increased shortages of milk, flour, and other necessities to survive. It also led to major malnutrition amongst children. And since 2014, more than 2 million Venezuelans have fled their country, and 15% of those Venezuelans back home survive off restaurant businesses' food waste. In prison, people are eating people, families are eating pets, and they're also eating zoo animals. This kind of activity drew attention from the United States State Department, telling U.S. citizens and tourists to reconsider their trip due to crime, civil unrest, poor health infrastructure, and detention of United States citizens. Venezuela is an example of what socialism does to a country. People sacrifice their human rights in exchange for federal promises for all that never simply come true. Now let's Now let's look at the policy issues that make up socialism and what economic backfires they have on a population. Socialism is a form of government control over population to benefit the greater good instead of the individual. Socialist ideologies among certain groups on the left in America in 2020 include packing the justices to the Supreme Court, taxing the rich, eliminating the Electoral College, adding a universal income. This creates a totalitarian plus socialist government control, and some more fundamental socialist principles include healthcare for all, public ownership, egalitarian desires, price control, social welfare, and social justice. A socialist economy drastically creates a non-competitive market, leading to slower economic growth, a halt in entrepreneurial activity, less motivated society, and lesser rewards. In an article by Mark Perry at fee.org, he describes the main reason socialism fails is because it fails to incorporate incentives. It ignores the incentives. When there are no incentives to work, it causes misdirection for economic activity. It has proven inconsistencies with fundamental human behavior. Capitalism, on the other hand, is based on concepts where incentives matter. The market determines prices, which drive economic behavior. Under a centralized government, which is socialism, there is no profit and loss system. There's no profit and loss system that measures the success or failure of various programs. And if there are no profits, there's no way to discipline programs that fail to serve the public, and no way to reward the programs that efficiently serve the public. Socialism is a tragedy of the commons on a global scale. If everybody owns public land, people act as if no one owns it, and if no one owns the public land, it leads to neglect and mismanagement. So moving on, I'm going to inform you on why socialist policies would hurt an American economy and how citizens will be impacted in a major way. In an official White House literature from the Council of Economic Advisors, Office of the President of the United States, they describe the opportunity cost of socialist policies. They also added the greater economic freedom, the better and more efficient. They also added the greater economic freedom, the better and more effectively the economy operates. If we replace United States policies with highly socialist policies just like Venezuela, it would reduce the real GDP by at least 40% and cost Americans $24,000 per year for the average person. In a clip from Fox News on YouTube, published on March 1st, 2019, from Sean Hannity's Hannity Report, it details socialist expenditures. Hannity states that the Green New Deal would cost upwards of $93 trillion and about $300,000 per person. Along with that, Medicare for All would simply cut private insurance companies for 175 million Americans, leaving them out to dry. And if that ever occurs in the United States, it would be the end. It would honestly be the end. So it must not occur here in the States. And with all this information I have provided, I hope to convince you that socialism is a bad force to reckon with. It really is. And to wrap things up, socialism has had a negative impact on nations' economies, proved to be unsuccessful in America, and will destroy America's long-lasting legacies of freedom. Socialism is a major force among young people worldwide. With more and more people to truly understand the drastic impacts it causes, hopefully we can end the entire movement itself. Here in America, we are in the land of the free. If a socialist resistance happens to alter the American history and change American values, it will be devastating to the world's economic stability. Hopefully, after seeing me display the reasons and arguments against socialism, you can inform anyone you may know to change their opinion. Today, I hope you learned that the fundamentals of a socialist economy will fail, and that America is not the country for tyrannical rule, while leaving here with the one thought that America is great again. Thank you.